Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today's March 1st. Spent a lot of the day building new beds, moving things around, redesigning it, and I thought I would just give you a kind of a overview of what I want to do this year. One main thing I'm doing, and I've been talking about, is I'm growing purely in shredded hardwood, double shredded hardwood. I'll be doing future videos on that if you want to subscribe, show you how to do that. But the double shredded hardwood breaks down pretty quickly. I add in nitrogen, it gets it ready, and then I can plant into it first year. Second year it'll be better, but what'll happen with the shredded hardwood is it'll slowly decompose and break down with soil biology, and it'll feed my plants continuously, and I can just add shredded hardwood each year. We'll go inside in a second and kind of go backwards. I'll go give you a tour before I made a lot of the changes in there. I'm also building a lot of compost stations. You can see the pallets over there. I'll tour over there in a second. And I'm going to build compost up over this year so that I have just hopefully an endless supply. I'm also going to use manures from neighbors in the general areas. There's a goat farm not too far from here. But I'm going to really try and cut down on organic fertilizers or any other kind of fertilizers that I purchase. I want to save money. I also want the garden to feed itself slowly, regularly, and it'll be less work for me to do. All right, let's step inside and go back to the beginning of the day. After I show you a tour here, I'll go show you how my seed starts are doing upstairs. So this is a raised bed section of my garden, and this is all shredded hardwood, double shredded hardwood. I'll show you the difference. I'll cut in a little bit. I'll go to my two mulch piles. But you want really finely shredded hardwood to grow into it because it's more surface area, it breaks down more quickly, there's less issues of the wood chips or the shredded hardwood taking nitrogen from your plants. I grew tomatoes, zucchini, peppers in here. They did really well. So this is a pile of shredded hardwood. It's not double shredded. It's not what I'm using to fill my raised beds. This is going to be used for mulching, but you can see how thick it is. This is one pass through the shredder, and this is great for mulching, not for growing. Over here, past all the firewood I just ordered, is the double shredded hardwood. That's the pile that you see behind me put back through a shredder, and it's broken down into this. This is what you want to grow in. So you're looking for, some places call it double shredded hardwood, some places call it triple shredded. But you want to grow in the material that has been shredded down and looks like that. Coming down this way behind the fence, you can see all the areas that I have set up for my composting station. Gonna clean this up. These are different trellises in here. Just gonna leave this panel here, open this up more, not sure what's gonna go in there. My vertical towers, which I highly recommend, there's links in my description if you want to pick them up. They're gonna go to a set area. I'll show you where that's gonna be. Clean out the asparagus. Those 2-foot by 6-foot beds, the 10-inch and 12-inch are all going to go along here where those containers are. It's just wasted space. Containers are nice, I'll move them somewhere else, but it's going to be just a long row of those raised beds. That's where the kale's going to go. The ag fabric will go over that. I'm going to clean out all my peppers. They did really well. These containers have the bottoms cut out, and it's just a mini way to have, a mini kind of raised bed. All the resources go right into the containers. And I grew 2 plants in there, just about every container. They did well. Here's this area cleaned up. I'll be putting in some more T-posts along where the asparagus goes, but this is a pretty good start for today. This is the Bug Hotel. Did a video on that. We'll see how it does come spring. And just a general space. Right now this isn't being used. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in here, but I have cardboard down. Mulch is going to go on top of there. This is the fruit section. That's a red currant right down in the bottom left. Blackberries, lots of blueberries, and this year I'm just going to let it continue to establish, and I may have to cage this out depending on what the birds do, but I'm going to watch and see what happens. Some of the blueberry bushes I thought died are actually coming back, so we'll see what comes in here. But this is just going to be really the blueberry and fruit section. Behind there are the hops. I'll be doing videos on that. This is one area I'm going to change up. I put containers in here, bottoms cut out. It was just really unnecessary, so these containers will be moved somewhere else. This will just be a regular bed, probably for climbing cucumbers. May even pop in a cattle panel. It's going to be redesigned. People were asking me to do a video on it, but it was the first build, and basically you see the 2x10s over there. I didn't use enough. I just framed it out where my foot is, right there. Put another one in here, and these boards are kind of flimsy, so when you step on this, it bounces. So I have to spend the money to reframe it. Probably put 1, 2, 3, 4, so 5. I cleaned out my container area, put down 5 2x10s. I'll secure them down, put some more boards across the top, so this area should be fine. Love my green stalk garden tower. This is my 4th year using it. UV protection. This one is 4 years old, going into its 5th year, I believe. No damage from the sun. I keep it outside. And I'd like that it disassemble so that I could take it apart, move it off here because it's very heavy, and then I'll just reassemble it back into this space. I am affiliated with them. If you're interested in a tower, check out my video description. There's a coupon code where you can get a discount. But I'm liking this area. I'm going to pull over some of the containers from the other side where I just took care of the potatoes, the peppers, the asparagus, and I'm going to bring those containers over to here. So this design works if you want to build something like this. It's going to be 5 boards across, 12 inches, 14 inches space in between, and you would actually have to frame out the right side too, so you'll have to have a board down there, but I had one underneath when I messed up. But with that spacing of 5 2x10s, this is solid. It's not, I mean, it's not even bouncing at all, so this is going to be a perfect area for my container garden. Just another way to have a container garden sitting on pallets. Those are 22-gallon galvanized steel containers. They're going to stay. Got to fix up the soil a little bit. I didn't make it well enough and the plants suffered a little bit, but I'll take care of that. So coming through here, going to remove and build a better trellis right there, but that's going to be for yard-long beans. I'm going to keep them there. They did really well. Moved in some of my kale that overwintered into here. Second-year kale is going to flower. I'm going to eat the buds and the flowers. Started putting in some lettuces. I got lettuce under the cloches there. This will all get cleaned out. And the cattle panel is going to stay obviously where it is. I like the design. Going to add in some more right in here through these 6-foot, 8-foot beds in this space. Going to move the trellis of the PVC to another space. And I'm actually going to grow a lot of tomatoes, cucumbers, melons up them. Again, I talked about this before, so that you can walk all the way through and just harvest as you go. But it's a great way to provide support for tomatoes. Actually, you can grow them up cattle panel, and I think it'll look really cool weaving the vines up through here. I'll do more pruning for these, but it's just going to open up the airflow. I like the design. Let's go over to the left side of the garden. This is a raised bed from Eco Garden Systems. I got this last year, set it up, but I set it up late because I had so much to build out with this garden, so I'll be using this year and I'll be talking about it. Along this side I have my perennial plants in there. That is a 4-fruit, I think, pear tree there, and I have an apple tree down on that side. Going to be growing beans along this side. I moved these PVC posts from where they used to be over there on the far end where the cattle panel was, and I'm transitioning them over to the left side. My earth beds, stuff is pretty much set up, but let me get this all cleaned up, show you the new general design, and I guess if I'm looking, let me walk you over to the compost. One of the things I'm looking for is really maximizing this space and getting it to be a place that feeds itself. Using the shredded hardwood everywhere, it will decay, it will break down, the nutrients will wash into the ground, of course, it'll get to the root systems of the plant. But I think with a little planning this year, getting the compost going, using the shredded hardwood, I'm going to have to use very little fertilizer, and this garden will slowly keep feeding itself. And it's really based off the basic principle of leaves and wood that falls into your wooded areas. It decays, it breaks down, natural cycle, and it gives back to the plants. And I'll talk more about composting, hot composting, soil microbes, the whole life cycle. Got a couple barrel composters to help speed things up. That will be for hot composting. Been just collecting the material out of my garden, have my browns, different pallets set up so that I can rotate different piles through here. A couple different designs and ideas going on. Again, this is all from last year. Got a bagger to put on my lawnmower, my tractor mower. Going to be using the greens for the nitrogen, the browns that we're walking by, and leaves for the carbons, and we should really be able to, or I should really be able to, make a lot of compost. And my compost will be transitioned all the way down here, and it will sit in these bins. So I think, first year, got everything set up. I'm very proud of that. This year, I'm going to really focus on composting and using shredded hardwood. All right, let me get this all cleaned up and built and show you what it looks like. So I finished the container area. It's nice and solid. All the brown containers were on the other side of the garden. I'll walk over there in a second. Brought them over here. And part of my redesign is I had the containers everywhere. So I had to drag a hose around and water everything. So I want all the containers in one space so I can literally stand right where I'm shooting this and water the garden. Why do I want to have to kind of drag a hose everywhere, spend more time getting to the container? So one strategy is I'm trying to work smarter, keep all the containers in one space. I also brought over my other vertical tower over to here. Everything in containers is going to be in this main area. I'm going to be planting this with peas over the next week. Those are the first crops that I like to get into the ground. My ground's still frozen, so I'm going to wait just a little bit longer for everything to warm up a little bit. I'll also be moving a lot of the taller trellises, or the trellises, over to the right side so that they don't cast shade to parts of the garden I don't want shade. They're all going to be right along that side, and I'll be growing a lot of beans up there. So this was the other part of the garden I worked on. As I cut in real quick, I cleaned everything up. It's looking pretty good. And again, much better use of space. Instead of having those brown containers along here that didn't grow a whole lot, I had potatoes in those, I'm going to put these 2x6 and 2x8 raised beds along here. I'll have more space, I'll be able to grow more, and this is going to be, again, where I'm growing kale and the related greens in here, so I can just put up egg fabric to about 4 feet tall, cover it up, no sprays. Hopefully the worms stay off of these, and I'll be able to just come in, pick what I want, put the egg fabric back down, and walk away. Again, trying to work smarter. The sprays work, but if I don't have to spray every 2 weeks, I can be doing something else in the garden. So slowly changing things up. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I should have everything moved to where I want it to go. The bed should be in shape, and I'll get to planting. All right, let's go inside and I'll show you how the transplants and seed starts have been doing. So here are some plants outside. This is for a series I'll be doing on seed starting without grow lights. Right now, I'm bringing out my cherry tomatoes when the days are about 40 degrees or higher, and they get the sun, they'll germinate, and then I bring them in at night so that the roots stay warm in the house. And I just move that in and out, and I'll have transplants without needing to go through grow lights. My cool weather crops were getting sun today, so they'll be ready to go out into the garden soon. So some of my flats are outside, but I have mints down there. Far left corner are strawberries, which are doing really well. The onions, the leeks are all ready to get outside. I'm just waiting for the ground to thaw out, actually. Columbines, all my rosemary, some lavender in there, more mint, lemon balm, thyme, all coming up in there. These are sweet potatoes from a couple of videos. You can see cucumbers there way too early, and they're actually starting to form a cucumber and flower, but they only need to be started about 4 weeks before they would get out into the garden. It's way too early for all of that. In here I have my, these are sweet peppers actually, on a heat mat. They're starting to germinate. Got my hot peppers in here. I started earlier. They take a little bit longer. They're doing well. I'm going to be planting 2 peppers in each hole out in the garden. Some of the wildflowers, annuals from the videos I've been doing. What do we have? Oh, and these are a couple more flowers. Lots of algae. I used fish emulsion in there, and I think I overdid it. So I'm getting a lot of green growth. All right, let's go to the other side. I have some of my larger plants by the windows getting used to the UV rays of the sun. Asparagus, a lot of people have been asking about. This was the asparagus I started back on December 16th. It's doing really well. That'll get into the garden soon. Peppers, these are sweet peppers. Those are hot peppers right down there. Trying to grow some really early, get them started really early indoors so I can get peppers earlier to my table. These are tomatoes and peppers that I did for a video. I'm growing them in these larger cells, which I do sell at my seed shop. These have been growing for 10 weeks. They were put into the soil 12-16, and they do need to be watered. I can tell that right now by touching them. But if you don't want to have to pot up, just start them in bigger cells. These are really nice looking peppers and tomatoes. mints in here. Things are looking pretty good. This is actually even a potato. I was just growing it by seed for an experiment to see what it could do. Hope you enjoyed the video. Gives you some ideas of what you may do in your garden. And please subscribe. I'll be getting out into the garden and planting really over, I hope, the next 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.